about to react to Friendly Jordies video called Trump's Newest Enemy. And just to be clear, guys, I like Friendly Jordy. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he's cool. You know, I respect him. But let's watch this. I think it's interesting.
Hey, this is another impromptu video, lightly edited. But it needs to be said, because someone needs to stand up for this country, hence the blazer. Also, I think that it's just a sporting opportunity to show that, yes, Friendly Jordies sometimes visits op shops. Well, that's not even accurate. I get my friends to do it. But the point is, this is a patriotic episode because our boy Kevin Rudd is in the firing line. Wake up, Australia! Yes, just...
Okay, first things first. I can tell this will be a defending Kevin Rudd video, which makes me quite excited because, personally, I'm not sure about Kevin Rudd. I'll tell you what more after.
In case you're an international audience member, Kevin Rudd is our ambassador, who was a former prime minister, all-round sick legend. I
wouldn't go that far.
Really like his voice. Sounds like this.
He literally, for my international audience, Kevin Rudd literally got kicked out by his own party, and then a girl took over. She just got in because they kicked out this dude.
Yeah, in case you didn't notice, there has been a foo-furore that has been brewing for about a year now about Kevin Rudd writing mean tweets about Donald Trump. Sky News has not shut up about it. Look at the one that they just released recently. Foul-mouthed Kevin Rudd should never have been made US ambassador. Foul-mouthed. They're talking about tweets that Kevin Rudd wrote about Donald Trump, and yet Kevin Rudd is the undiplomatic one. Look, you can like the fact that Donald Trump is extremely rude. You cannot sit there and say, oh, the decorum, what happened to diplomacy? When you're talking about someone else dealing with Trump, what Kevin Rudd said is extremely mild in comparison to the things that Trump said. And again, I am not one of these language policing things. And here's the crazy thing, neither is Sky, unless they can use it as a
I don't necessarily agree here, and I'll explain why.
point. Look at the tweets that they are highlighting. Keep in mind, these tweets were made before Kevin Rudd became ambassador. This is just him.
That makes it even worse, in my opinion.
As a free citizen saying what everyone on Twitter has ever said.
Calling Kevin Rudd a free citizen is rich, because this is the former Prime Minister of Australia. This is the former Prime Minister of Australia talking shit about a US president. So, like, Jordy's underplaying the significance here quite a bit.
Said about him, look at it. The United States in the past 4 years has been run by a village idiot. Oh my God, that is way worse than anything Trump.
I mean, that's pretty bad. The former Prime Minister of Australia literally said to a United States president that the country is being run by a village idiot. Could you imagine, like, any ally of ours calling our prime... Like, imagine a prime minister, an ally prime minister calling our prime minister an idiot. A village idiot. It's pretty bad, Jordy. I don't know how you could possibly think that defending this is any... Like, I don't know how you're making light of this. It doesn't make sense to me, Jordy.
Trump has ever said about anyone ever. Donald Trump is a traitor to the West. I think...
That's also a really horrible thing to say. As a prime minister, former prime minister of Australia, saying to a former president, our biggest ally, who literally, it didn't exist, China would come over in a second and take all of our resources, take all of our people, and they basically, you know, are kind of already doing it in their own economic way. But in a military way, if it wasn't for America, we'd be stuffed. So, Jordy, when the former prime minister is saying to a US president that he's a threat to the West, that's pretty bad, mate. It's just so it's bad. I don't know how you're justifying it.
Traitor might be one of Trump's favorite words, though, isn't it? Maybe he's just trying...
Yeah, but when Trump says that, he's always in the context of an enemy or someone that's gone against him directly. I mean, I don't think Donald Trump's ever gone against Kevin Rudd directly until he was mentioned of Kevin Rudd's comments. So it's literally very out of line for Kevin Rudd to just come out of nowhere and start talking smack about the leader of the free world. It's just crazy. I don't understand how Jordy even remotely thinks this is okay.
Trying to relate to him at this point. You know, using a bit of his old language back to him, giving him some weave points. This is why they're asking for him to step down, by the way, for those quotes. Look at how much the Murdoch Press's graphics design department went to town on that. And we need to stress this. All before he was ambassador. And if...
Doesn't matter, mate, because he was the former Prime Minister of Australia and he's talking smack. Like, big smack about a United States president. I don't know, I know I keep repeating myself, but it's like, there's a significance here, and I get what Joy's about to bring up with the Murdoch press. I don't necessarily agree with the Murdoch press on this part. This is where I think me and Jordy can align on some issues here. But seriously, Jordy, you gotta watch out, mate.
If you are going to say that those are absolutely egregious, that Trump really must make an example out of Kevin Rudd for saying the words village idiot, where's the...
I mean, it's bad. JD Vance, Trump's VP, once called him a moral disaster and possibly America. Yeah, but it's different because, one, they've come together now and they've realigned. I don't think Kevin Rudd and Donald Trump have like come together and made peace. And also, you know, America is a bit more unusual. This is different. This is two allies, two leaders of allies yelling, calling to the really bad names. It's not even just. It's just Kevin Rudd really bagging the president of the United States. Like, who really cares what JD Vance said when he was younger and silly? Like, no one really cares. Like, and I don't think Trump really cares, to be honest.
Furor about JD Vance's comments to Trump. That is his vice president, by the way. Where is the furor about Rubio saying, I still believe that he shouldn't be in control of the nuclear codes? That's now his Secretary of State. Why has the press for a year straight been going...
Like the press has been, like, Jordy is downplaying the press. The press was on the case. Like, they did point out Jay Vance. They did point out about Rubio. Like, it wasn't just untouched stuff. Like, it was brought up a lot, and especially by the Democrats, especially running up to the election. So I don't know where Jordy's going with this. Like, it seems like it just seems like Jordy has a bit of an agenda here, and it's quite obvious for everyone to see. Well, at least for me to see.
Going on and on and on about Kevin Rudd writing a couple of tweets. Well,
by the way, I'm not protecting Murdoch Media. I get Murdoch Media has their own agenda, and Murdoch Media will do anything they can to protect their financial interests. So they're all about making money. I'm not supporting Murdoch here. I'm just saying, it's not like this is not just some random. I mean, obviously Murdoch Media is taking advantage of it, but Kevin Rudd is kind of asking for it with his comments.
the answer's very interesting. You see, as we all know, Kevin Rudd is public enemy number one to the Murdoch press because public can be very easily replaced with Murdoch. If you don't know this as an international viewer, Kevin Rudd was at the forefront of slamming the shit out of the Murdoch press day after day, pointing out the rank, unapologetic bias in the Murdoch press and how it just does the bidding of its master. Whatever the master wants that day, it'll just completely flip on a dime of what it was saying before. And then...
Which is all true, but the thing is, Kevin Rudd's not doing it to be some sort of like authentic person of the people. He's doing it because he has high interest in China. I think deep down, you could argue that Kevin Rudd cares more about what China does than what Australia does, and obviously understands that Murdoch is Murdoch's an ally of the West in terms of Western media, Western elitism, the Machiavellian approach to control, supremacy of the elites, where Kevin Rudd is kind of like this random Australian dude who loves China, speaks Chinese, and like basically knows everything about China. And yeah, so it's a bit strange.
Then just change track entirely. No rhyme or reason to it other than this is what the boss wants. And that is really what controls the entire press ecosystem of Australia, because it is the one that controls all the newspapers, all the print, and then all the print gets read out on television and radio, and that becomes the public narrative. So
But that's not just the media. That's also the banks. It's also like everything in Australia is owned by a few like groups or few businesses. Like Australia's a very like almost I don't say like a monopoly. It's like a monopoly city. Like everything's owned by the big three or the big four. Like there's no like huge vast amounts of competition like in America. Or even America has its own big like Walmart and stuff. But it's not just the media here in Australia. That's why it's important independent journalists point this out. Because, yes, Murdoch's group will do what's best for them and their financial political interests. Of course they will. But, like, this is the point of education. You educate the youth to be critical thinkers. They'll be able to make these, you know, correlations themselves. They don't need to be, like, force-fed this. But, unfortunately, I mean, we don't live in a perfect world. Yes, the Australian public is too busy working, too busy worrying about other things, doesn't have time to sometimes think about this. They just want the news and that's it.
Public narrative is just whatever this very selfish businessman that doesn't even live here anymore wants. And as a result of this, this is the level that they're going to. Completely manufactured story, highlighting these tweets, getting Nigel Farage over in the UK to say those tweets to Trump to start a beef. Remember where he's in there and he's saying, our good friends at Sky News over here.
Our friends at Sky News Australia wanted me to ask you this.
This is the control that Murdoch has in the Anglosphere. He can get...
But everyone knows that. Of course he has that power. Like, he's literally created an empire. A very powerful empire. So, but that's something to be aware of. Anyone should be aware of this. If you're someone watching this, be aware. It's not just Murdoch. There's other groups. There's the BlackRock interest groups. There's a certain amount of families who control the media. They're all very religiously aligned. They're ideologically aligned. They all come from the same kind of cut of cloth. And can't say that too much because you get in trouble, obviously. You get cold names. But I'm just saying, there is a certain sect who want to stay elite, who want to stay rich, who want to control the power, who want to control the mechanisms, who control the media, control our food, our water, everything that you see. Nothing has changed in human history. There was always a monarch. What's happened now is that as technology and stuff has advanced in the Industrial Revolution, these particular groups of people have found better ways to maintain power and elitism without having to reveal themselves too much, because they learned through the French Revolution or Russian Revolution that if you are obviously in power, the people are going to find you and they're going to cut your head off. So, you know, it's like very clear. And then I have props, like Elon Musk isn't the richest man in the world. They just want you to think Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, because that's what the public want. There's richer people than Elon Musk, much richer people.
Nigel Farage, this is the man that one day could be the opposition leader in the UK, to just relay Murdoch's personal gripes to the President of the United States. And why is he doing that? Purely to try and get Kevin Rudd removed as a personal vendetta. A vendetta because Kevin Rudd has the audacity to point out that the Murdoch press has distorted the entire narrative of the West into pretty much whatever suits the business interests of Murdoch. This is what...
Yeah, no joke, but Murdoch's doing it with intentions of others as well. And also, Kevin's not doing it for some pure source. He's doing it because he wants to protect his Chinese interests and also his really ultra left-leaning ideologies, which don't completely align with Murdoch.
Why he is causing this international tension. When you have the President of the United States beefing with an ambassador of one of its best, and might I just say most loyal, allies, that's causing undue tension. That's...
No, Kevin Rudd saying that Donald Trump is a village idiot and a threat to the West is what caused this, not Murdoch. Murdoch just took advantage of it. This goes down to Kevin Rudd. He shouldn't have said some stupid stuff like that. That was up. He made the issue himself.
A really bad look internationally. If Kevin Rudd is removed, which he's not going to be, but if he was
You don't know that.
removed, keep aside from the fact that he has to be probably the most qualified man for that job. I mean, the connections that that man has made in Congress and the Senate on both sides of the aisle. I mean, Joe Hockey wasn't doing that. He was taking photos of himself in a fucking tuxedo. Kevin Rudd was working tirelessly to try and get American-Australian relations on track, especially when it comes to dealing with China, because you have to understand this. Kevin Rudd might be one of the most preeminent experts in Chinese diplomacy in the West. Hands down. No, not just because he knows Chinese.
希望你们能够休息一下。
No, it is also...
There we go. So this is where it's Jordy's painting it like, oh, this is a great thing. That it's just for educational things. But I generally feel that Kevin Rudd is interest with China goes far beyond just assisting Australia. I think it goes into it starts to dabble into, is Kevin Rudd an ally of China secretly, and is deep down wants more for China than the West? Because look, it's just a theory. I've got no proof, but it's just the vibe I get from Kevin Rudd.
Because this man...
And because he's really for like a lot of things that Chinese governments aligned to, like censorship, the misinformation bill, stuff like that.
has written extensively about the ideology and viewpoint of Xi Jinping, how that man sees the world. In fact, very few people have done academic pieces anywhere near the quality of that. You're talking about a statesman that has had decades of experience with DFAT, decades of experience with dealing with the Chinese, decades of experience of dealing with the Americans. This is a well-oiled diplomat that they are trying to hoist out. So that is terrible for Australian interests to begin with. Terrible for Australian interests.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Not really. He's putting a lot of love on the Kevin Rudd. It's really confusing.
Replace it with what? Barnaby? I mean, he would be a pretty good Australian ambassador.
Get Barnaby in there,
I mean, Kevin Rudd gets blackout drunk at strip clubs. Barnaby doesn't even need the strip clubs. 5 o'clock somewhere. Probably drunk at strip clubs.
Rudd in strip joint. Oh no, this won't do.
Barnaby doesn't even need the strip clubs. 5 o'clock somewhere. Probably in America. To talk about other competent points that the Murdoch press routinely slams them for, but anyone who is a normal human being should probably see what an incredibly skilled ambassador this man is by the fact that he got Julian Assange freed. That was his doing with the work of Anthony Albanese. They were tirelessly working behind closed doors. That is what happens when you are building up all of these relations in the power structure of the United States. When you take your job seriously, when you know what you're doing, you are able to achieve stuff like that. Stuff that if the Liberals were in, they wouldn't even try to begin with. And if they did, again, like, who are they putting up there? Arthur Sinadeno, stooge. Fuck off. You shouldn't even be the ambassador to Fiji. Well, you should, you fat, lazy cunt. But that's like the level that they should be. This is a man that should be there. And purely for...
Okay, my comment on this is... the run-up to that has been a long load run-up. Sure, I will give some credit to Kevin Rudd. He did a fantastic job in that. Albanese, I'm not too sure. But you gotta remember, people like Senator Alexantic and a lot of other politicians from all sides are putting on a tremendous amount of pressure. Politicians from all parts of parties came together for this. It wasn't just Kevin Rudd. Sure, Kevin Rudd was a big part of it, but it was... I mean, yes, the Liberals did step in. Yes, the Greens stepped in. Yes, Labour stepped in. Everyone stepped in to get Julian Assange home. It wasn't just Kevin Rudd's doing. So, again, Jordy, you're putting a lot of emphasis on Kevin Rudd. It's freaking me out.
Personal spite, he is trying to get Kevin Rudd withdrawn. Trying to set up this beef. I mean, look, we all know how Trump operates. They know exactly what he's doing. Oh my God, he said something mean about you, Donald Trump. That's unbelievable. I am the nicest person in the world, according to me. Keep in mind, we all know. Look, this is what he was saying about Kevin Rudd's handling of the global financial crisis before. Direct quote. I hear good things about the way Australia is being run and running. You just had your financial genius who just got a nice award. Nice award. He was voted the best treasurer in the world at this time. Well, yeah, obviously he's talking about Wade Swan there, but in the first part, he is talking about Kevin Rudd. And then as soon as he hears that Kevin Rudd says something bad about him, he's stupid, he's very stupid, he's faux. So we all know that this is causing undue tension. And for what? For one greedy old Sith Lords.
It's not true, Geordie. It's just not it's definitely not true. Kevin Rudd obviously doesn't like Donald Trump. Kevin Rudd has said some terrible things about President Trump. Like, what he said online, he shouldn't have said it. It's just silly. He's supposed to be an ambassador. You're saying he's like this amazing person. But then why is he saying stupid shit about President Trump? It doesn't make any sense. It's just a silly move. Of course, Murdoch, of course the media are going to take advantage of it. Like, Kevin Rudd should know better. Like, Kevin Rudd operates in the Australian ecosystem. He should know this.
Personal gripes. This is the damage that the Murdoch press is doing to the West. They are damaging the West to the point that they are riffing.
This is a huge stretch. Like, no, I'm not trying to be pro-Murdoch here, but Geordie, chill out, bro. Kevin Rudd should have done better. Kevin Rudd obviously let his biases come out in that moment. And now he's trying to play fancy schmancy. He shouldn't have talked shit about Donald Trump. Simple as that. And if he's going to talk shit about Donald Trump, stand behind it. If you're going to talk shit about Donald Trump, you don't like Donald Trump, then you stand behind it. And take the consequences. There's consequences. I've dealt with consequences of my own for saying the stuff I believe in. So does Kevin Rudd.
Two of the strongest allies in probably international history. I mean, you know, Rome and Carthage were pretty close, but I think other than that, we're probably better mates than them. And they are deliberately ruining that, deliberately increasing tension, because he's butthurt. Do you see how dangerous the Murdoch press is? Do you see how much damage it does? I, for one, am really proud of the fact that Kevin Rudd, first off, is being a voice for sanity in the US. He might be one of the only lone voices in the entire power nexus of Washington saying, hey, chaps, here's a good idea. How about we don't go to war with China? How about we just keep buying cheap little McDonald's toys? You know what the most infuriating part about it? Every time when it comes...
The only reason... The only reason Kevin Rudd is doing this is because China knows if they went to war with America, they would get absolutely body slammed. And that the only way China has a chance of being America is through infiltrating America through media, propaganda, and slowly buying up all the land and slowly getting their sticky little fingers all across the Western world. So I don't know if Kevin Rudd's generally trying to do this as a good thing. He's doing it in China's best interest.
Comes to the Murdoch press, they always pretend to be the we hate the woke warriors, we stand up for free speech crowd. You can't say anything these days. And then, as soon as it suits them, they turn into the most triggered little bitches. Oh, foul-mouthed. Oh, so rude. Same thing that they did with me back in the day. Just, you know, as soon as it's convenient for them. Racist, sexist. This is the same outlet that, you know, as soon as it's convenient for them. Racist, sexist.
MP Nicole slams people as sexist. Oh, okay.
Sexist. This is the same outlet that day after day, comedian triggers the snowflakes. And then as soon as I trigger some snowflakes, no, they're melting. It's pathetic. I hate it so much that they always pretend that they're the bastion that stands up for Australian values because what? Woolies doesn't sell as much Australia Day merch. Now don't get me wrong, as a man who is wearing an Australian flag as a jacket, that's a bloody outrage, that is. However, at least I'm consistent about it. You know what's more damaging to Australian interests than not selling cheap flags that are made in fucking China? Deliberately undermining our relationship with our strongest ally that is supposedly supposed to be protecting us from China. That's a little bit worse.
I don't agree with this, Julie. I don't agree with this take. I don't think... I just get the vibe that Kevin Rudd is not working truly in the best interest of Australia. I feel like he is ideologically married to China, loves China, and if China could be the rulers of the world, Kevin Rudd, if Kevin Rudd could press a button and China would be the rulers of the world, he'd press it in 1 second. He wouldn't think twice about it. You got to be careful, Geordie. You're very careful what you're saying right now.
You know what else might be a little bit worse? Getting rid of the guy that is trying to diffuse tension between these two giants. And he has a track record with this. I just need this to be on the record before we go. Copenhagen, 2009. China, US, about to walk out of the climate change accord with nothing being put in place. It was Kevin Rudd that got something done. Why? Because he's a skilled diplomat. It is so outrageous that they are trying to get rid of him. Really, really poor form, even for the Murdoch press. Speaking of press and poor, came to my attention that one of my favourite outlets, Independent Australia, they're not doing so well in the cost of living crisis. Now, this is what happens when you don't have this entire network across the globe, this global media empire, propped up by house reruns, I'm assuming. Really, in Australia.
I was going to say, yeah, I was going to continue my point. I feel like, yes, Kevin Rudd, if he had the opportunity, would literally just hand over Australia to China. He's definitely very full of this disinformation bill. A lot of his ideologies are very, appreciative of Chinese philosophy, which I have an issue. Look, China's cool. I love Chinese history. I love martial arts. I love all that stuff. But let's not pretend that Kevin Rudd is like some sort of angel here. I'm sure there's other talented diplomats we can find. I don't know, Geordie's kind of going a bit extreme on this point. I think there are a lot of great people in Australia who could do the job. Maybe not as good as Kevin Rudd, but who knows what Kevin Rudd's true intentions are. He shouldn't, I'm just saying Kevin Rudd shouldn't have talked shit. You talk shit, you get hit. That's how it goes, you know? Fuck.
Virtually all press comes out from the Australian newspaper and then it fans out. That is the narrative setter for every day of the week. They're the ones that decide what the rest of the press is going to be talking about. Yes, you have your little silos like your 9 Fairfaxes, which owns, let's be honest, half the media, but they are really not in the same power broker position as Murdoch. But if you aren't in either of these two silos, it's a tough gig. It is a tough gig to be.
That's true. Jordy. It's very true. I run an independent media company, but to be fair, it has helped me quite a bit in life. I won't lie. But I have never tried to really financially make money off my latest audience before. I should, because I'm sure there's things I could find that the latest audience would love to buy and support me with, but I just haven't gone down that road.
As the name suggests, independent in Australia. And they have done some great work over the years, such as they were the lone voice for about a decade saying, guys, the ABC sucks. They were the only ones saying, guys, this is just a Liberal Party mouthpiece now. It has been completely infiltrated.
What, the ABC? Okay, this is delusional. The ABC is literally a Labour mouthpiece, a Liberal mouth. This is literally ridiculous, Jordy.
From the top down, it is nothing but a bunch of Murdoch hacks that have gone in there. It's a hollow shadow of what it was. They were the only ones
okay, international audience. Jordy audience. This is just so incorrect. It's literally, the ABC might as well be called the Greens Party and the Labour Party. It is so far left. It's ridiculous. Yes, they do some liberal stuff here and there, but ABC is by far way more aligned with the Labour and the Greens Party. Let's be honest. Like, some of the most woke crap out there comes from the ABC. I literally have been banned. I literally had to ban the ABC because they kept picking on me.
That were saying that. They were the only ones who were pointing out the Peter Slipper scandal was entirely just to weaken the Gillard government. They're still doing that work to this very day. And because of current economic circumstances, they're struggling at the moment. In fact, they could close down by mid-December.
Or get better. IA. Because, honestly, IA, you're acting like big old woke lefties, and people don't want to support that. Where were you during the pandemic? I don't know, actually. I should cross-verify. But where were you during the pandemic? When the government's... Were you supporting all that stuff? I don't know. Maybe.
If they don't get...
intelligent... independent investigative journalism to show.
Sizable injection of cash.
I've
already given them some of my money. I think that you should give them a couple of your bucks as well. Try and get them to their target. And if you do get them to their target, I wouldn't mention Patreon dollars either. I mean, cost of living crisis is affecting us all. I think that we need it. We also need it because, you know, we've been taking hits this year as well, and we have done some phenomenal things this year. I mean, just last week we did something very big and investigative. You can go check that out. That is what that Patreon allows us to do. More of that, as well as counter-press narratives, which I think, as I've just pointed out, really necessary service. It also allows us to do things like...
If you like Friendly Jordies, give him your money. But I don't agree with you in this video, Friendly Jordies. Most of what you said, I really don't agree with.
Set up the environmental fund, which we will have some updates on, I'm hoping, fairly soon. And we will also have a bunch of other big videos that are coming out relatively soon as well. So it's all systems go. We're all firing off over here. Give us more money and also give Independent Australia some cash as well. Save Kevin Rudd. Hey, so just a reminder, this was a rather...
Alright, well there you go, guys. There's my take. If you've got any questions, just write in the comments below.